What's up, guys? Welcome back to the infamous project. The sun is going down and it is popping on this 1992 yellow DECH Coupe. Now, I know I've done kind of one-ish video when I was going through the iterations, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the headlights. And of course, you guys can see here quite easily on what my final decision was. I went with the diamond clears and a yellow PPF film, and I think I made the right move. Reality is, car came with the original Ford lights, and I've got those boxed up, wrapped up, and on a shelf. So I think this was the smartest choice for now. So that way it kind of represents, well, my style, my taste, and puts my own personalization on the car. And that's actually what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, is actually give this car a little bit of a formal introduction, so that way you guys can get to know the car a little bit better and what's in store in the near future, because I'm not planning on wasting too much time. I want to get this car right. I really want to enjoy it. In fact, I wanted it done in time for the Yellowmark Cruise-In, which is coming up this weekend, and well, time was working against me, unfortunately. So anyways, let's hit that intro and let's come back and talk about this super cool, because I promise you guys, this is a real cool car and a cool story. Even if the body kit on a coupe isn't for you, even if yellow on a Fox is not for you, the story is still cool. So stick around. All right, so before I forget, and I'm trying to do better at this, go get your merch if you're interested at theinfamousproject.com. Hats, t-shirts, mechanic shirts, and of course, I got some DECH goodies. You know, you can buy DECH kit, you can buy DECH shifter knobs, all types of good stuff on the website. But let's get right into this car. 1992 Coupe, originally wild strawberry, believe it or not. And now it is this bright, super bright chrome yellow and outfitted with a DECH kit. And in fact, this car has got pretty much the majority of the DECH catalog thrown at it, at least from back in 1992. And I'm going to go over all those details with you right now. So I picked this car up from the original owner. Believe it or not, the guy bought it. Well, it was in his mom's name, right? Because I believe he was like 16 when he got the car in 92. Was an optionless car, and I've got all of the original records from this, the purchase agreement, the original insurance, the appraisals, everything. Such a cool and well-documented car, and he got it and didn't waste too much time, right? Back in the early 90s, mid-90s was kind of the days of the stereos. So we're going to touch on that in a minute, because this car has a little bit of everything for everyone, if you will. So ironically enough, the car got stolen. Got stolen for the wheels. I don't know what wheels he had on the car at the time. And as a result, the car was actually, was found. They took the wheels. I think they took the stereo, if I remember the story correctly. And he got the car back. And from there, it was an opportunity to go ahead and get the car built out. The car went pretty much straight to paint, and they tore the whole thing down. So, right, normally it's good to do the jams. You can see there, other than the head of that bolt, if you really look for it, there's no signs that this was a wild strawberry car. And in fact, we can pop the hood. Okay, so we got the old satin black engine bay treatment in here, which does not look too bad. I actually still have the factory hood liner. And this is some nostalgic stuff when we look in here. When we see that old Pro-M mass airflow meter, we got an alarm siren there, and one of the OG GT40 tubular intakes with the plaque, and old crane cams, ignition set up over there. And yeah, it's pretty neat. A little bit of flashback, all the VIN numbers all masked off and kept here, which is nice. So this paint, right, going back all the way to 1994, and I actually just got it back from a full paint correction and coating from Atomic Auto Spa, who the owner of the spa is the gentleman that I'm doing the black notch project for with the Tiffany blue engine bay. But yeah, this paint absolutely shines. Got the fiddle fart antenna delete, wiper caps, and just tried to clean everything up as much as possible. And all of this trim and these moldings and everything are actually still original. So what makes this a DECH car? Well, it's not a numbered car. I'll start off by saying that. Unfortunately, I wish it was. It's got pretty much all the components from a street car perspective. So it's got the springs, it's got the G-load brace, it's got the panhard bar in the back, it's got the DECH shifter knob. What else do we have? The rear disc brake conversion, and it actually, something that's super cool that I'll show you guys. And guys, I'm not going to go into like nitty gritty details on this. I do want to kind of just keep it a high level overview of things, because there's going to be follow-up videos on the car where you're going to see all this. So this car actually has this rear immobilizer unit. Not only does it have the old school Viper, which if you guys watched or listened to the latest podcast, you're going to hear me complaining about what it took for me to find the battery that fits in this fob. And I've actually got 2 sets of original keys, 2 fobs, and 2 immobilizer chips. Now DECH used these were known as the DECH immobilizer unit by Quorum. And what you do is you put that in there, and you won't be able to start your car unless that chip is in there, and of course with the alarm disabled and everything else. So kind of a cool feature there. We're a little retro on the interior, the old shift light right in the center here, and to be honest with you, I'm probably going to keep it. I don't want to touch more than I have to, because I'm trying to keep like the retroness of the car. These gauges, I think I am going to opt for a full pillar, and I don't like the chrome, so I'll probably either redo the gauges in the pillar, or I am going to opt to just not have gauges at all. So that's something that I'm going to have to establish. You'll see here I've already got the radio ripped out, and that's because I'm going to be going to a different old school head unit, going back to car audio that I mentioned here at the beginning of the video. So I'll be doing that, and I'm also going to be fixing the center console where they did the radio install plate. So I'm going to be removing the center console. We'll fix these holes and get that all like factory with the proper little box underneath. So stay tuned for that video. What you're going to notice is some cool little additions that were done, right? So the frame around the climate controls, leather wrapped around the shifter bezel here. We got leather wrapped emergency brake portion here, which I believe this might be an SN95 thing. I'm not sure where that would have been obtained from, but it's pretty neat. Door panels. These were custom done because this car did not have power windows and locks from factory. It was all an add-on, and it's actually audio Vox window regulators that were installed in here with aftermarket door lock actuators. And so the panels were custom done to reflect that. Most likely why we see a speaker up here where the window crank probably would have been situated somewhere in this area. But again, car audio car from back in the day. So that's probably a 5 1/4 down there. This is about a 3 1/2 with an oversized opening, and then of course another tweeter. So all MB Court outfitted in here, which is pretty neat. We've actually got a digital voltage readout here where the speaker grill cover would go. He said he was going to build a custom housing for it, but never got around to it. So that's something else for me that I'm going to have to put on my list to finalize on the car. And you can see some of that wild strawberry paint hiding in the background there. If you guys are curious to know the mileage, 75,000, actually it's almost at 76,000 original kilometers. So we are at, what's that, maybe 40,000 miles, maybe a little bit more than that, 45,000 miles. So the mileage on this car is extremely low. The Recaros, I put these in, right? So that was one of the first things that I did when I got the car in Canada. And you can see here, we got our tweed rear seat. And another cool little touch is put all these little caps over all the hardware, which I feel like it's kind of like a nice touch, especially something that, you know, was done back in the 90s to just kind of clean things up and keep things tidy instead of seeing a bunch of old nasty hardware. Not a bad deal. So you can see I've got one of my lip spoilers here, and that is because I am going to remove the whale tail. I'm actually going to get a different deck lid, and I'm probably going to hang this one and the wing together on a wall somewhere. And the reason for that is that this old Celine wing is it's separating and it's sweating and it's pretty bad. Yeah, it's pretty much cracked all the way down because it'd be like two pieces from the mold, and it's just got all of its gremlins. And well, I'm not a huge Celine wing guy on a notch, so I'm going to do the other deck lid. I'm probably going to shave the lock cylinder off it and do one of my lip spoilers. So in the end, it's going to look very similar to my silver notch. Ooh. All right, have a little peek in the trunk here, so you can see it's outfitted in the so you can see the tension rods are gone. So what I want to do when I do the trunk lid is actually maybe do convertible style hinges, which means I'm going to have to open up these areas, or I'm going to have to figure something out. You can see here the old amp rack, ancient Alpine, all polished out. The old audio control unit there. So a throwback to any of you car audio guys, I'm sure. But yeah, so we got to kind of re-outfit the car audio situation in the trunk here. That whale tail weighs a shit ton on a factory deck lid that doesn't have tension rods, let me tell you. So there's some of the basics of the car. Now, in terms of going into more of what I want to do to continue to personalize it, because I've done the headlights, I've done the 18-inch borebettes, which those are actually 4-bolt, believe it or not. I had them filled and drilled, and the perfect offsets of 8.5s in the fronts and 10s in the rear to fit perfectly on the factory 4-bolt setup, because I don't want to have to deal with doing a 5-bolt conversion when everything is working the way that it should. So that's done. I just need to get the stance sorted out, because the car is sitting probably, well, I'm not going to go as low as I normally do because I don't want to mess anything up, especially on this old beautiful paint. So I'll probably just go down maybe about an inch, 1.5 inches tops. Normally I'd tell you guys I'd go down 2 inches, 2.5 inches, but I'm not going to do it on this one. Exhaust tips, guys, just sort of like that Viper key fob battery that I was searching for to find the old school MagnaFlow / cut tips that I like. That these guys right here, right? So I think that's a 15-degree slash, and I think they're 16 or 18 inches long, reduced down to 2.5. So I need to get these on the car. Not that I don't mind, right? The smaller tips, I feel like these fill out the openings of the DECH rear bumper a little nicer. So we got to get these installed. Now this car also does not, even though it has the DECH panhard bar, and I'll show all you guys this in the video that I install these. These are the DECH grabbers, which relocate the mounting position of your lower control arms down 3/4 of an inch, resulting in lowering your car and fixing the pinion angle to help for better performance and everything else on the street and the track. So you guys will see how these get bolted on place. These are, you know, some new old stock from DECH from way back in the day that I've had sitting on the shelf for the perfect opportunity. And well, the perfect opportunity is this car. Then one other thing that I'm really excited about is I've actually got a brand new set of yellow conies that are valved to the original DECH specifications. So that is something that Peter Hansen, the son of Derek, can still have done by Koni directly, and a nice little piece to have that will pretty much complete the suspension on that car. And from there, because like I said, it's already got the springs and the G-load brace and the panhard bar and all those things. And instead of me jacking up the car, well, here we go. We got a set of DECH springs that are down here. This is an extra panhard bar that I had, or have rather, laying around. So this is what it looks like. This is another set of grabbers that I have, and a couple other cool little DECH bits, old brake brackets that DECH came up with. And these are a brand new set that I have here. This is for the rear brake setup, and this is actually for the fronts, which I still need to get fronts redone. So there's a few little cool DECH goods. And then over here on my toolbox, here is all the documentation that came with the car, right? We got the original catalog. We got the appraiser services of the appraisal report. And this was really important when the car was stolen and recovered, right? Here's the original purchase agreements and everything else. If you guys are curious, $18,982 Canadian was the cost of this car, and that was without power windows or locks. That just would have been your tweed interior, cruise control, and AC. You can see here a little folder. So this is pretty much the way that I got the car, right? With the 20-inch Cobras that he put them on right before he parked this car back in the early 2000s. So this car was pretty much stored for the better part of 20 years, and explains why it's in such nice condition to this day. So this is probably my favorite folder, because this is cool, right? All the original purchase stuff, insurance information and appraisals and all that. But over here, this is what is close to my heart, is all of the DECH goods, right? We got Derek's old business card here. We got the fold out brochure. All right, gives you all the options, right? Right there. Doesn't that look like that? Well, then we got the DECH articles, and then we have DECH invoices, which some of this stuff is cool. You can see when he was doing bank drafts to DECH, $7,000 back in the day. When was this? I'm sure there's a date on here. We have some dates on these invoices. See, 94, $2,000 deposit. We got distributor cap and rotor, spark plugs, ignition wires. So DECH did servicing and pretty much anything that you wanted them to do. So of course, basic service stuff there. Then we get into urethane rear bushings. The control arms are going to have the DECH upgraded bushings that were pressed into there, including on the diff. We got rear shocks. So you can see here the steering column was broken, so they had to replace that, probably from when the car was stolen. Got a Nylotron shift knob, got 355 gears installed. What else do we have? Removal and installation of drive gear from gearbox. So I think he said they beefed up the transmission, or they did something there. Here's the immobilizer, installation, master mufflers, DECH springs, underdrive pulleys, Recaro seats. So obviously he didn't keep those in the car because I ended up putting mine in. Sliding rails, right? So Recaro seats back in the day, brand new, $2,200 Canadian, mind you. The sliders are $355. So Recaro has been consistent over all of these years. We got the DECH kit, so the lower aerodynamic system, $1,313. We got new door handles, lock set, brakes, panhard bar, just $497. Here's another $6,000 bill. So this is the installation cost, $1,960 to install the body kit. This would all be Derek's fancy handwriting here, I presume. Bank drafts. What else we got here? A new appraisal once the car was all done. In case you guys are curious, right? Let's take a look at this. So the car was appraised at $19,750 with pretty much the same mileage on the car as when I bought it. He maybe put 500 kilometers on this car, if that, from when this appraisal was done. So he probably had this done before he parked the car, March 9th, 2002. And yeah, I wish that's what I paid for the car. I paid a lot more than that. You can see the factory tweed seats are back in here. Actually had different valve covers on there. I'm kind of glad those ones are not on the car now. And here's the Carfax. Interestingly enough, the Carfax doesn't even have the theft documented on it, because being a Canadian car, I'm kind of not surprised. We know the car was stolen based on the other appraisal report that we have over here. So I actually know more about the car than what Carfax is letting on for us to know about the car. And then here is a bunch of service records from Ford. And I'm not going to go through all this stuff, but just to show you guys, right? Replace a wheel, front end alignment. What else we have here? Oil and filter, spindle assembly, strap loose around muffler, horn assembly. It's probably all crap that you did underneath warranty, right? So it's all no charge back in 92, no charge. Clutch is slipping, replaced underneath warranty. He must have learned how to drive standard on this car or something. But there you guys have it. Here's a bunch of documentation on that Viper alarm and K&N air filter and a bunch of other stuff that goes with the car. Well, that's going to do it. The sun is going down. I need to move a couple cars around, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the, I guess, a little bit more official introduction to the 1992 yellow DECH Coupe. And like I said, I'll be taking you guys along for the journey as I do the upgrades to the suspension, to the stereo, cleanups on the interior, a little bit of gauge work, all of those little things that, well, hopefully you guys find as interesting as I do. And one last thing, guys, this car has, and this is like coming from Gary. Gary like absolutely loves the sound of this specific car, and it's because it is your true original off-road H-pipe with your shorty headers and original Flowmaster 2-chamber mufflers way back in the day. And it just kind of has that sound about it that just sounds awesome. So I'll fire up the car, get it moved. You guys will be able to hear it. And then we'll see you back again next time on the Infamous Project.